Good evening. Well, I am, of course, the last person in the presence of so many experts to speak about Ayurveda, though I must confess that I'm a great believer and a great fan of Ayurveda system. But I really want to thank all of you here for your presence. It's a reflection of your interest and your faith in this. I'd like to also, in particular, welcome our esteemed panelists and speakers today. That's, of course, Kiran Vyasji, who's just been this year recognized with one of the highest civilian awards in India. He's a Padma Shri, which is incidentally very rarely given to people living abroad. It's mostly for people in India, but it's a reflection of the contribution he has made to the promotion of yoga and Ayurveda here in France, in Europe, a pioneer in that sense. Like to also welcome two great French stalwarts who actually I wish I had known earlier, because I would have utilized their talents and their expertise. And that's, of course, Joyce Guillaume Le Don and Fabien Corrish. Thank you very much for joining us today. Both are prolific writers as well as great practitioners, and they've contributed immensely to the practice of Ayurveda here, but more important, to transforming lives of people through this wonderful science. I'd like to also welcome a very special guest today. That's Ritika Patni, who's flown in from New York for just a day. And Ritika, I got to know in Singapore, where I was posted last. Very dynamic young person who did a lot to promote Ayurveda in Singapore. She's a lawyer, and she's done just a master's in business administration from Columbia University, which and then has devoted her life to Ayurveda, and she has a company called Arth, which in Sanskrit means meaning, and it is actually art of the health. And incidentally, and because it's important for the subject we are discussing today, in the 9th Ayurveda Day, which is innovation, she's also now taken Earth to the Columbia Startup Lab. Now, normally you associate startup labs with digital platforms, not with Ayurveda. But, and somehow to people it might seem like a paradox and obscure, ancient, mysterious science from India in the startup lab of Columbia. But I think it is really a reflection of the growing acceptance of Ayurveda. And so to all of these eminent speakers, let's just give a round of applause today, and we look forward to listening to them. I'd like to thank, of course, our team here, and particularly our Public Affairs Officer, Pujya Priyadarshini, who's been diligently working on organizing Ayurveda Days for the last 3 to 4 years. And I'd like to also welcome Priyadarshini, who's going to be the Public Affairs Officer here, and also a great believer in Ayurveda. So this is the 9th Ayurveda Day, and you might wonder what was the reason for starting Ayurveda Day, just as we, as Prime Minister, had launched the International Day of Yoga. It was not to promote the export of culture and commerce from India. It is to contribute to improving the quality of life of people. First of all, in India, which the younger generation had forgotten what it was to lead a more holistic life. And second, internationally. Because as we all know, Ayurveda is, of course, it's a truism, but worth repeating, science of life. So it is more than a system of medicines or treatment. It is a way of life, or state of being. A holistic, sustainable, integrated, balanced approach to life, Of course, there is a treatment and a medicine side to it. There is a curative side to it, but there is also a preventive side to it. There is a way of being, in a sense, physically, psychologically, emotionally, spiritually. And to combine all of this in a way we live, what we eat, how we sleep, what we do, how we interact with the world, how we interact with the outer world and our inner self. So all of this gets combined. And while it might seem esoteric sometimes or something, it is actually rooted in a lot of history, of science, accumulated wisdom based on evidence. And so I think when we speak about quality of life, it is important to bear this in mind, that Ayurveda isn't simply about going to a doctor and asking a person to write a prescription. It is about an approach to life. And I think in the course of this 9 years of the Ayurveda Day, I've often asked myself, is it worth doing it? Has it made an impact? And I think it has. And over the course of these 9 years, just as in the course of 10 years of International Day of Yoga, yoga has become something which people started believing in India and abroad. It is making a difference in Ayurveda. And the reason is that this Ayurveda Day is not just what Ayurveda practitioners speak about. It is also where we get sports people, scientists, artists. We get medical doctors in the sense of allopathic medical doctors, who speak about how they combine their practice with Ayurveda and how it has benefited them in actually improving or making their practice more effective. So all of this is beginning to have an impact. But it is also because I think two other big trends are there. Not just because there's a great campaign through the Ayurveda Day. First, of course, I think that the world, and particularly the younger generation, have become more conscious of wellness and health, of a more sustainable, of a more grounded, of a more, let's say, ethical, in some sense, lifestyles. Something more in tune with nature, more concerned about side effects, the toxic pollutions, cost effects, more interested not just in suppressing symptoms or banishing symptoms, but looking at the root causes that need to be addressed. Affordability, sustainability, the long-term impact, the absence of side effects, all of this is making people aware and search for alternative ways or different ways of healing themselves, improving their quality of life. But it is also what the governments and Ayurveda practitioners are doing. I think in the case of India, of course, we see a complete transformation of the national system, whether it is in education, in Ayurveda clinics, in the best hospitals of the country, side by side with allopathic practices, or it is research, testing, certification, quality, standardization, pharmacopoeia, the use of modern research methods which underpin what we call modern medicine. All of this is now happening, but it is also what the Ayurveda practitioners are doing in terms of protocol, in terms of building trust, confidence, and also appeal. And a lot of this innovation is around this aspect of how do you make this more trusted, more inspiring, more, let's say, appealing. And part of this is the way you package it, the way we present it, the way we are able to see those products not as some bitter pill that you must have, but sometimes as something that you actually relish. And it is this kind of a blend of modern management, modern marketing, modern production, certification, qualification, branding, traceability, all of this, standardization, all of this, what the Ayurveda practitioners and companies are doing is transforming the way we see it. So when we see these products on the shelf, or whether when we go to an Ayurveda practitioner, as we see 3 of them sitting here, we come back recognizing that there is a method, there is a rationale, there is a process as meticulous, as rigorous, as scientific as in the process that we associate with medical science or the modern medicine. And which is why sometimes I am a bit surprised. And I question this notion that we call this complementary, supplementary, alternative, traditional. Everything is traditional. Every doctor takes the Hippocratic Oath. Right? Because that's the old Greek physician 2,500 years ago, to whose oath on his name we take that oath. But it's the evolution since then, to a point where today we can spend billions in researching a cancer drug. But the methodology is not confined to one process. So today we see that change also taking place in traditional medicines, which we call traditional medicines. So I think once we get into this kind of definitions, we start restricting it in our minds and in public policy. And that's one of the big constraints that Ayurveda faces today, is regulation, public policies internationally. And this is not going to simply change because we are able to produce, let's say, 1,000 pages of evidence. We've done that. I have done that in Singapore. I have done that over here. It is also because there's competition. Competition with traditional practice, or what is traditional practices in the West, with the doctors, with the medical companies, and so on and so forth. So I think the best way to deal with it is not through a contest between one form or the other. To accept that all forms are rooted in human wisdom, ingenuity, innovation, knowledge. And they come from diverse sources. And it is possible that we can combine all of this in our lives. And I see this now seamlessly taking place in India. The most advanced doctors allopathic doctors with 3 PhDs, studied in the United States and UK, have all those lovely, combination of letters after their name. Now, without any self-consciousness, also prescribed certain Ayurvedic practices. A post-cardiac incident care will almost always involve certain Ayurvedic practices. So I think just as we are doing in India, and you go to All India Institute of Medical Sciences, you'll see, the most modern equipment from France or the United States coexisting side by side with the most modern Ayurvedic clinic also. So when you look at all of this, I think we need to get beyond definitions to embrace the diverse sources of knowledge, diverse sources of human wealth and treasure that comes from different sources. And this is why I think I have confidence that there is a great future ahead for Ayurveda. Not because it is an Indian export or because it originates in India. You could say that for any Chinese system, you could say that for Unani, you could say that for, acupuncture, for example, has its origins in Korea. We have traditional Mayan medical systems from Latin America. So there is something about the diversity of human knowledge. It is about recognizing that human beings face a challenge in this world of climate crisis, of toxicity, of pollution, of stress, of digital stress, of social tensions, of economic dislocations, of mobility that imposes great demand on us. All of this taken together means that we are all searching for a better quality of life. Not necessarily longer life, but certainly a better quality of life. And a better quality of life is not just our physical strength, but it is also our inner self. And that is, I think, where Ayurveda has focused a lot on. And I'm really pleased to see this very, very impressive and I'd say very complimentary set of speakers today. So without further ado, let's look forward to listening first to Kiran Vyasji, then we'll have Joyce come up, and then of course Fabian, and then we'll round up with the young Ritika's presentation. Thank you very much.
Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Ma Amrutam Gamaya. Om Shantihi, Shantihi, Shantihi. Asat, that is the non-truth, falsehood, lead me towards the truth, the real truth. Then no light, darkness, lead me towards the endless light. And mrityu, death, from death lead me towards the eternal life. Shanti means peace, peace and peace. As our India's most respected and honored Prime Minister said that this is the age of peace. This is not the time of war. In spite of that, we have so many wars, but India preaches Buddha, the peacefulness, peaceful atmosphere, and not Yuddha. Buddha rhymes with Yuddha. Well, Your Excellency, Mr. Javed Ashraf, the Ambassador of India, and for me, not only that he is the ambassador, but at present he represents for all of us, and all of us also are the torchbearers of that 1.4 billions of India. India has certainly a message in all fields of life, and Ayurveda is the message for well-being, health, prevention. And the very first sentences of Ayurveda say that one must feel nice towards a sort of happiness. That well-beingness needs to be there. If before the sunrise, if you just want to jump out of the bed saying that a good day is there and I'll be doing some good things and I have a lot of energy and strength, then consider yourself that you are in a good health. Otherwise, you do consult some of the Ayurvedic exponents who will advise you how to be that. Otherwise, a very complicated and well-notioned theory of Ayurveda of good health The others will be speaking, so I will not go in details of that. But it says that your three doshas, Vata, Pitta and Kapha, should be in harmony. Vata means the element air and ether. Pitta would mean fire and water, and Kapha would mean earth and water. In short, all the five elements have to be in some harmony in yourself. Then 7 dhatus, 7 tissues have to be strong. Now, what is a dhatu? The first dhatu is rasa. Rasa means the juice or the essence which nourishes us. You eat food, out of that it has been digested, and the essence which is taken and absorbed by the body is called the rasa. Of course, in Indian art, poetry, music, dance also we have the rasas. That is also a sort of an essence. We are also nourished by beautiful music. We are also nourished by some magnificent sunset or a peaceful forest, or when you are on the seashore and you are looking at the waves of the sea and you look at the horizon and then you go beyond. You are nourished by the vision. You are also nourished by the nose. France is very famous for all its perfumes. But perfumes or aroma, it's an aromatherapy. You are nourished by that. That is the first. But nourishing means also you are getting cured or you are getting towards the good health. So the rasa is the first dhatu. Then the second dhatu is rakta, is the blood. Now, what is strange, that even 5,000 or even more than 5,000 years ago, they spoke about this 7 dhatus, and the second dhatu is blood. And they said that the blood has to contain the proportions of all the elements in the right proportions. That is to say, the white or the red blood corpuscles, they have to be in certain number, or the magnesium, or even sugar, glucose. It has to be having certain amount in your blood, not more, not less. There is a sentence in a Sanskrit which says, even if you are very rich, you have no right to have too much sugar in your blood. You can eat, no problem to that, but it should not go in your... So, shall I tell you a secret? How not to have too much sugar in your blood? But it will hurt you. Because, no, I will not say that do not eat sweets. But the modern scientific studies have shown that the insulin should not be put into our system before 12 noon. Therefore, what we need to do is to eat salty things in the morning. No jams, no sugar, and things like that. But anyway, I leave it to you. And therefore, in India, you know, in south of India, you have idlis, vadas, these things. Then in North India, you have the parotas and salt and savory things. But that is helpful. So this second dhatu is blood. And when we speak of innovations, I would say that is the first innovations we must practice together. Previously we had other methods of having the blood tests, but at present we have good laboratories and your blood has to be in proper proportions. Whether you are an allopathic doctor, Ayurvedic practitioner, but that is the basic need which was explained 5,000 years ago and which is even explained today. So let us keep to that. Of course, I go ahead. There are 7 dhatus which should be strong. The 7th one is Shukra, that is the reproduction cells. But then beyond that, in Ayurveda, we speak of Ojas. That is the aura. The word aura, it frightens us. Then let us not speak of that you are having a good aura. In fact, one day one lady who was practicing too much of yoga, she came running towards me and embraced me. Luckily, she was just 80 years old, so I didn't mind it. Otherwise, I would have interpreted in different manner. But then she said, "Oh, you have a beautiful aura." I said, "Thank you. I don't see it, but I believe. And if you are saying so." Well, that aura is one sort of light, but in Ayurveda, aura means, ojas means immunity. And the message of this immunity is almost an economical message. They say you must develop your immunity more and more. Or in other words, I would say you must build up your capital health. If you have in your company a big capital, naturally your business would flourish much more easily. And of course, the money flow, and that also needs that ojas in yourself. If you develop that, and the greatest of the example, what I find, is India's Prime Minister, or rather almost all the chief of the heads, or even our ambassador, or even many of you who work so many hours, who have the duties where there are no limitations of time. So I just come back. So the 7 dhatus have to be in good health, proper. Then the 13 types of fire, Agni, they speak of. And all those 13 fires have to be lighted up nicely. Then only you'll have good health. And these 13 fires, and one of the most important is the Jataragni or Pachagni. That's it, you should be able to digest. When you digest well, things go well. Any food you eat, if you are able to digest it, very good. And what's the best sort of example they give? A young boy of 18 or 20, he has already had 1 or 2 dinners before reaching home. He comes around 8:30, 9:30 at home, and the mother is waiting. "Oh, my poor boy, you have been out. You have certainly not eaten anything." And then she serves a big dish. The boy is strong. He eats up everything. And he knows that if I ask for a little more, my mom would be very happy. So he asks again. So it will become almost the 4th dinner. He's able to digest it. So his fire is very powerful. And that's the age which gives that fire. But exercise also will give you that fire. Good practice of Ayurveda, yoga, any sports also will give you that fire. So that Jataragni fire has to be strong. But the same fire, able to digest even an opinion of somebody. Somebody criticizes you, your fire goes down. No. Sometimes this remains non-digested. some remarks by our parents or some of our friends for not only weeks, not only months, for years together, 10 years, 20 years after. If you repeat the same sentence in the same context, again you get irritated, and that also. So the fire, 13 fires have to be lighted up properly. Then the 3 eliminations have to be nice, that the stool, the urine, the sweat, this will give you the basic physical strength, physical happiness, and physical body would go towards the health. Then comes the indriyas, the 5 indriyas, how to see, how to hear, all these things. That also has to be good. And not only that, that gives you your vital being, what is prana, that the vital energy, that would be there with you. And if you have that vital energy, certainly you have the enthusiasm, you have the courage, you have the happiness. You can bring happiness towards you. And that, the vital energy, it is there the acupuncture people would work. It is there where, what in France we call them guérisseurs, the ones who are the healers. They use the vital energy. But let us not believe in anything and everything. Keep your 5 senses and keep your creativity alive, says Ayurveda. Art, music, drama, these things will improve your vital energies. Now it has become almost the therapies, art therapies, music therapy, this therapy, that therapy. These are all good things. But Ayurveda says this will increase. Then the mind, manas, that has to be, instead of overexcited with so many thoughts, if you can quieten down, that will give you the proper manas. In fact, one of the days in the beginning when I came to Europe, I was invited for a big conference on innovations in education. And as I had come from so-called third world country, almost the fourth world in those days, in 70s, so as soon as they saw me, they said, yes, Mr. Vyas will be speaking, this and that. And finally, they didn't want to give me the floor. Even I was put on the list and things. But then they said, oh, the last day, at 12 it was closing, and till 5 to 12, I waited peacefully. But then finally, I just lifted my hand to speak a little bit. They said, no, Mr. Vyas, we don't have any time. We have just 3 minutes remaining. I said, what I have to say will be put up into 1 minute. And in that 1 minute, what I said, that all of you have spoken about innovations in education, how to put your skull, your brain, with more and more and more informations. Where in India, what we believe is how to quieten the mind and how to make it peaceful for any education. And here I will add, for any good health, mind has to be quiet. And the last one, whether you believe in your inner self, the Atman, that has to follow the path of progress for evolution. And what they say, it should go towards Sat, Chit and Ananda. Sat is the truth, Chit is the consciousness, and Ananda is the bliss. So this is another definition of health. And this is all the Ayurvedic practitioners, they would either increase your vata or decrease your pitta or this or that by different medicines or different treatments. Or they will increase your fire or they will decrease your fire and you'll be treated. So the treatments are innovative at each and every moment in Ayurveda. One example, one of my professors of Ayurveda, he told me that one Maharaja, king, he was very ill and he had the brain stroke and his body, especially the lower body, was completely paralyzed and he was not able to move anything. They consulted many doctors, many things, no solution. Then the Vaidya, the doctor, came, and he thought for a while, and he said, okay, here is a Maharaja, very mood is very pitta, means very angry, very intelligent, but he is using too much of this. So he put a big dirty stone on his bed, and he asked not to move that stone. And the king shouted, oh, remove that dirty things on my beautiful bed. But that worked inside, and simply his fire element got more and more. With his anger, he could just close it. He could just push the stone away. So you see, I will not take more time. In fact, just to give you the idea that Ayurveda is all these things. And innovations, I will just tell you one small story. In fact, in 2012, I went to India with some of 15 or 20 doctors, allopathic doctors from France, Belgium, Switzerland, and some from the French islands. And as at that time Mr. Modi was the Gujarat's chief minister, I thought, why not meet him? And we had an appointment. We were a little late, and I thought that we'll not meet him. But he received us. And to my utter surprise, I was thrilled with his knowledge of Ayurveda. But he took a time to tell us a story of one patient. One of the gurus or the teachers of Ayurveda, he was under the tree and he used to give. 20 years after, when he went again, there was one patient, he just bowed down to that doctor. The doctor asked, what's the matter? He said, yes, 20 years ago, you gave me one advice, I have followed it, and now I'm perfectly okay. What was the disease? Vitiligo. You know that the skin becomes white. And what was the treatment he was given? Eat only khichdi. Every evening, khichdi is the mixture of moong dal and rice or millet or something like that. And half a spoon of castor oil, l'huile de ricin. And 20 years he had been taking, and he was cured. But the importance of this is to follow the food habits. If you have the good food habits, you can cure yourself. If you have the good food habits, you can, sorry, that means my time is over, you know. If you follow the good food habits, so Ayurveda gives us 3 vectors of health. Dietetics, first, and the lifestyle, secondly, what time to get up, what time to go to sleep, what exercises to do, what exercises not to do, with whom to sit, with whom not to sit, what clothes to put on, what not to put on. That's all lifestyle. Then manovyapara, that's the mindset. If you have a positive mindset, then everything will be right. If you are happy, if you look towards a broad angle, if you look towards something vast in you, you will be much more better. Ayurveda, nowadays, the most innovations which are required is the humility to give our knowledge in the Western method. One of my friends, very often he goes to the big conferences and then he finds out the solution that for this disease, this has to be done. Then he looks in Charaka Samhita and other things, and then he will put the name of the disease in the 2024 what the medical knowledge said about this, and then he'll put a Sanskrit sentence. 3,000 years ago, it was written that this is the solution which was suggested. So anyway, solutions are many. More solutions than the questions. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. Hope you are doing good. So this year, for the Ayurveda Day, our topic was about Ayurveda and innovation. So I will just start with, for me, as per my experience, what Ayurveda and innovation, how it goes together. And then I will speak about the federation I do represent this evening. And because today we are very happy to have done 4 conferences with the French Federation of Ayurveda and the Embassy of India to continue to spread during the whole day different kind of knowledge. So that's the first time we're doing that. So I will then speak about the federation. So when we think about innovation, we think about maybe computers, AI, scientific research, these kind of things. But here we are in France, and for us, Ayurveda in itself is an innovation. And I will point out a few points that really Ayurveda brings new things on the table that we don't have in France. So the first thing is that Ayurveda deals with the cause. Like, what are the cause of your disease? Each and every patient that comes our way, we are all the time focused on what is the reason of this illness. It's not only about curing, it's about knowing why this thing happened. And in Ayurveda, we have pages of causes that we have to learn. And I do remember I first learned Ayurveda, and then I came to allopathy, and I was like disturbed, like, what are the reasons of this disease? And it was not written anywhere. People were not knowing. It is about like curing, but about knowing where it comes from, we don't know. And many times, like, it's come from, let's say, a virus, or it's come from bacteria, or it came by chance. And the worst case scenario, it is in your head. And we are a bit tired of this kind of answer. It's a part of the answer, but for example, why this virus come into your system? Why your body can allow that? So it's all about knowing the cause that are creating this to come into your body. So we know that all diseases happen because of 4 things that Mr. Vyas already mentioned. That ahara, which is the food, so what do you eat every day? Vihara, which is your lifestyle, how do you like sleep, what kind of exercise do you do, these kind of things. And achara, which is your behavior, and last thing, your way of thinking. So, and each and every disease can come under all these causes. And this in itself is innovation. The second thing that for me is an innovation is that there is no side effects. As a practitioner, we should not create a new disease by curing another disease. So, for example, we know that few treatments can be tricky. For example, when you want to cure some infection, you have to give very strong herbs. And we know that this can disturb the body. And we know in certain cases we cannot use it. And I spend my time to repeat to my students, don't use this, because yes, you will cure the disease, but the person will then create another disease. And we should not do that into Ayurveda. So we have to think globally to avoid this kind of things. And normally an Ayurvedic treatment never ever gives side effects. And in itself, this is an innovation. The third thing is that it cures the body, we know, it cures the mind, and it cures up to the spirit. Because as we understand the human being in a global way, the human being, so first the spirit impacts the mind, then the mind impacts the body, then the body creates disease, and the disease creates symptoms. And To cure only the symptoms, it's not enough. Sometimes you have to cure the symptoms, then the disease, then the body, then the mind. And sometimes you should go up to the spirit of the person to be sure that this disease will never come back. And sometimes we can say to a person, maybe you have to change this in your life and never again this disease will come back to you. So in itself, this is an innovation to see people not only as a body, but also as mind and spirit. The fourth innovation is to prevent. What you do every day is what builds your health as well as your sickness. And we have, Ayurveda has built strong systems to prevent disease that you can do every day. Like we have Dinacharya, which is a thing that you can do every day. Every morning you have up to 2 hours of a routine that is here to prevent any kind of disease. And also we have the Raticharya, which is what you should do during the night. And also for each and every season, what kind of behavior, what kind of food you should eat. And if you follow this will clearly create a huge prevention for your health. And if at all you have some disease, if at all you are weak for some reason, you can do Panchakarma, which will take out all the dosha you have created into your body and will prevent not only physical illness but also mental illness. So, and all these charyas and the Panchakarma are 4 very strong ways to prevent disease in an active way every day, during every season and every year. Then, as the 5th innovation, in Ayurveda, we have the word is our materia medica. Everything is medical in Ayurveda. It's not only about medication. Everything, a person can be your treatment. The sun can be your treatment. The moonlight can be your treatment. Hot water can be your treatment. We know we know, for example, what minerals can do on you, what herbs can do on you, what we can use some animal parts, what it will do on you. Everything we know about each and everything. So sometimes we give some treatment that can look simple. For example, Mr. Kinvia spoke about having khichdi and some castor oil. It means very simple. Like vitiligo is a very difficult disease to treat. So if you say that to any allopathic doctor, he will say it's not possible. So sometimes we give, for example, we can give hot water to increase your immunity. And this is new for us. Like if you say that to any health practitioner in France, he will not believe you because this knowledge is not there. And as such, this is an innovation to know that to go out and to have some walk, for example, this will increase your acne. All those things is new for us. All those is innovation. And we don't need AI or computers or whatever scientific research to make that new. So for me, this is the 5th thing, that Ayurveda brings to the table. And in itself, for us as French people, it is Ayurveda, it's an innovation. So I will go back to the Federation. So the Federation I represent this evening has been created in 2019. We have 2,500 active followers on social media, 140 members, and it's different kind of person. It can be enthusiasts or students, practitioners, schools. We have a board of 10 members to direct the Federation, and we have a member of honor, which is Mr. Vikas Talvar, which may be arrived. Are you there? Not yet. Our goals are to promote, develop, and to make Ayurveda recognized in France. So that's a huge way to go. We are aware of that. So our mission are to promote Ayurveda, awareness about Ayurveda, develop and structure Ayurveda in France, and create a global platform for the practitioner here, and integrate Ayurveda in the French healthcare system. Our current project we are doing monthly conference to spread Ayurveda knowledge. So it can be a practitioner that is speaking about his experience, or it can be, we are talking about one knowledge and it's for free. You can register, and every month you will have some conferences. We are creating special instruments for our practitioner because, as I was saying, Ayurveda is new for us. So to practice Ayurveda, we have to build everything for our practitioners, so how to have a good instrument for them. So today itself, we have collaborated for the Ayurveda Day. We have global discussion group. We are working what should be the standard of education in France, what a person should learn to be a practitioner in France. We are thinking to make a market study to know the numbers of Ayurveda in France, like how many practitioners we are, how many people are using Ayurveda, these kind of things. And we are thinking to make a documentary on Ayurveda to show how Ayurveda is in France. We know how Ayurveda is in India, but how is it in France? Who use Ayurveda? How we can expect? What kind of results do we have? And this kind of things we want to spread. And of course, when you have a goal in life, of course, you will find challenges. So the first challenging we have is to bring people together. Ayurveda in France is made with huge amount of different kind of person, different kind of background, different kind of skills, different kind of opinions. And it's a huge job to make all these person come together in one direction. So we are working on that. Then we have to create a global standardization of our education. Means every school which is spreading Ayurveda in France should have the same kind of curriculum, for example, and the same kind of skills should be taught. We have to prove the efficiency of Ayurveda by scientific research. Even if Ayurveda is used in 5,000 of years on billions of people, which itself is a scientific proof, then we still have to continue to do so. And for example, at the Federation, we are translating mainly only scientific research in France. So on our website, you will find papers on different kind of treatment that have achieved something, which is translated into French. Then we thought about how to integrate Ayurveda in the French healthcare system, because we cannot do the same. Ayurveda will never be the same in France that it is in India, for sure. But today it is underused, so we have to raise it. To integrate modern examination, so again, as Mr. Vyas said, so we should go to an integrative medicine, and to prevent and support the cure of chronic disease. And this is where we want to do the positioning of Ayurveda in France. So I will explain a little bit more about that. So Ayurveda is good to inform, to target some special kind of disease of kind of population, and to help to cure. It will also, if it is globally spread, significantly impact our lifestyle. If today you use Ayurveda, you start to use Ayurveda just by this evening or tomorrow, in 1 week of time, you will see the results on your health. So let's imagine if this is spread more into France, how many benefits it will give to our citizens. Then it gives a personal answer to each individuals. And what we are thinking more, because this strategy have been thought during the COVID time, to take a weight off hospital and in treatment of chronic disease. Because all the tools of Ayurveda, it was globally used. We have do some estimation that it could prevent chronic disease from minus 15% to lower hospitalization from 10% and to cut down the cost of the social security by 15%. And this was a study we did with Mr. Léonard Séné that did a presentation at the embassy 3 years back, which is a specialist of healthcare business. And so we're going to support this kind of positioning at the Federation. So to sum up my talk, so Ayurveda in itself is an innovation because we know the cause of disease. We are able to give no side effects. We are promoting true prevention and a global understanding of materia medica, which is not only medication, but everything, including your surrounding, can be the thing that can heal you. So with all these tools, it's able to prevent and to help to cure chronic disease. And just to give you some numbers, in 2019, 34 million of French person has been refunded by the Social Security for treatment. In this number, there were 60% of chronic disease. So the number I just show you, it's a huge amount of person, it's a huge amount to decrease our cost. And though Ayurveda, it's so beautiful, it can be mysterious and all, we should come back where I should go into France. And it's what we try to do at the Federation. So thank you so much. Please join our French Federation. You have the website. And I don't know if some of you follow the conferences. And thank you for listening to me. And I will give it's to Fabien Corrèze to talk.
So first, before make my speech, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to Mr. Ambassador and Mrs. Priyadakshini for invitation to participate to this day celebrating Ayurveda. Sorry, I read my speech because if it will be boring for everybody and me too. Sorry. So when we consider the title Ayurveda Innovation for Global Health, an underlying question could emerge: what new element does Ayurveda bring? The answer lay in a fascinating paradox. This millennia-old medicine doesn't change. It doesn't change and doesn't need to. The fundamental principle of Vedic medical science remain as applicable today as they were 1,000 years ago. You just have to certainly translate this ancient Vedic principle into contemporary dialogue. It's the modern medical science discovering Ayurveda anew and recognize it as an innovation for global health care. Born alongside humanity itself, Ayurveda has saw the rise and the fall of numerous civilizations with their distinct lifestyle and aspiration. Throughout this vast expanse time, 1,000 years ago, Ayurveda has mainly to serve the health and for all the human without exception. Ayurveda is timeless because the human body and its organic function remain unchanged 5,000 years ago than now, and its fundamental principle constitute a biological science applicable everywhere in the world. It was never think only for some yogi in the Himalaya 5,000 years ago. Its scope has always been universal. What truly established Ayurveda as a global medicine is its foundation in the philosophy of existence. It serves a cornerstone for anyone wish to maintain good health walk in his destiny path and fulfill the Dharma, means the personal existence with a natural law, honoring the gift of life in peace and in love. This is the soul of Ayurveda. This universal approach, it's not my decision, it's in the first page of ancient text like a Charaka Samhita. This writing reveals that Ayurveda was never conceived for individual health alone, but for collective well-being. The soul of Ayurveda unchanged and unchanging. Ayurveda innovation lies not in reinventing itself, but offering timeless solutions to modern health challenge. So let's see a fundamental approach to health and wellness. In Ayurveda, health is defined like a state of homeostasis, a continuous harmony between external and internal influence. As Charaka, the sage physician of Ayurveda, said, the human is the quintessence of the universe. This profound observation implies two essential points. First, that whatever exists in the vast eternal universe is mirrored within the human body. And second, that the element which may disturb your health arise from the same source. So, many solutions. How then Ayurveda apply in practice? The Charaka Samhita, one more time, you heard many times Charaka Samhita with me, clearly states the purpose of Ayurveda is to maintain health and in the healthy and cure the disease in the sick. Notice the significant emphasis here. Before addressing illness, the priority of maintenance existing health. This represents a fundamental departure from conventional medical approach. Medicine rules should teach us how to maintain the health gift. This is where Ayurveda profound wisdom becomes evident. It begins by helping us understand our individual constitution and empower us to become active participants to maintain the health. In Ayurveda, give the key for everything. Currently, all Ayurvedic practitioners in France are focused on the crucial mission, dispensing, preventing, and providing tools for understanding and actively maintaining the health. This preventing approach represents a strategic opportunity for Ayurveda integration in French healthcare by demonstrating its value and support care in hospital and other medical settings. In examination the state of health equilibrium, this homeostasis, let's see how it is manifest within Ayurveda fundamental principle. Mr. Vyas explained a lot, and taking the hand is all the principle. The ancient treatises provide us with a comprehensive definition that serves as a guideline for health observation. According to Sushruta Samhita, sorry, I have to put, yes. A healthy human is one whose biological humor are in balance, whose digestive fire is strong, whose waste elimination and body tissue function normally, and whose soul, minds, and sense exist in state of lasting well-being. While we cannot detail all, of course, it will require hours and days, what immediately strikes us in how Vedic sage physician clearly understood is the intricate relationship between physiological and psychological aspects of health. Modern medicine has only recently embraced this holistic understanding. The wisdom of Ayurveda lay in this approach, understanding our personal constitution, being aware of body's strengths and weakness, adopting appropriate daily habits, and maintaining a lifestyle aligned with the personal constitution. In my 25 years experience, I have observed many people who, after understanding their personal constitution, discover not just their health profile, but their true identity and the place with the community. This self-discovery often proves more meaningful than following lifestyle imposed by the modern society. So let's turn in some more practical of Ayurveda. The Shirodhara. So in the same vein of non-medical and non-invasive care, Ayurveda offers multiple solutions against effect of stress, one of the roots of most health problems. One of these is called Shirodhara. Shirodhara is a distinctive technique not found in another medical system. And in Ayurveda, we use it for insomnia, anxiety, stress, of course, headache and hypertension, many problems. The term derives from Shiro, means head, and Dara means flow. The treatment involves in continuous warm oil flowing in the forehead and 30 minutes or 1 hour. This treatment course ranging from 3 or 28 days. Intrigued by Shirodhara mechanism and results, researchers from many parts of the world have conducted studies with modern measurement technique. Some example, in 2008, Japanese researchers demonstrate that Shirodhara significantly decreased the plasma noradrenaline level. In 2020, Standard Clinical Clinic in the United States examined Shirodhara effect on persons with moderate and to severe insomnia, and the result was very remarkable. Some participants have 70% improvement after just 5 days treatment. A particularly notable study in 2019 in the Tibia College and Hospital in New Delhi focused on one patient with mental disturbance due to 3.5 years of non-sleep and 2 years of bad concentration. The result is significant. For some can read more. Oh, yes. This is the result. So we can see the cortisol level decrease, the HRA decrease too, and the profile mode score improve. Additional observations have been shown, including recovery, traumatic memory, and improving in cognitive function. This deeper understanding opens new possibility for integrating Ayurvedic treatment into modern healthcare approach. So definitely, Ayurveda has a solution for contemporary problems and global health. So finally, if initially in the West, and particularly France, Ayurveda was often reduced to 2 limited aspects, as a culinary approach with spice and some message types. However, there has been a profound shift in understanding. Now it's recognized that Ayurveda is a complete medical system with methodology and philosophy. So, just a last to meditate From Sharaka, one more time. Life is a combination of body, sense, means, and incarnation soul. Ayurveda is the most sacred science of life, beneficial to humans both in the world and the world beyond. Thank you.
Namaste, distinguished guests, respected dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen. It's a privilege to join you here today where we are trying to celebrate this ancient wisdom of Ayurveda. But today's conversation really is less about the ancient wisdom, but trying to understand what is the contemporary relevance of Ayurveda, and also what is the future that we can imagine where Ayurveda is modernized, it has a place coexisting with the modern medical system. What does that future really look like? So we'll take a little deep dive into that, but we've all been sitting for a little amount of time listening to all the speakers. So what I would love to do is start with a little exercise. All of you must have received the little card which lists what McKinsey calls the future of wellness trends. These are some of the top health and wellness trends in the world today. And you see some of those: gut microbiome, intermittent fasting, nutritional psychiatry. You may have heard a lot of these when you're thinking about health and wellness. But I wonder if you realize that a lot of these are really rooted in Ayurvedic wisdom. So if anyone's kind of had a look at that card, I don't know if you want to raise your hand and tell me, what is the Ayurvedic equivalent of one of these things? Go ahead.
So the first one, like you were talking about the gut microbiome. So it's basically the Agni, Ojas, and whatever we spoke, a few minutes back. So it's basically.
Absolutely. Wonderful. What's your name? Vivek, great. Thank you, Vivek. So he said gut microbiome is what in Ayurveda an equivalent concept is Agni, right? Let's see if this works. Yes, Agni. So, Ayurveda emphasized the importance of having a strong digestive fire, not just for efficient digestion, but also for great mental health. Today, we know that there is a gut-brain axis. They say that you need to have a balanced gut flora to feel both physically and mentally well. And that brings us to the concept of nutritional psychiatry. A couple of years back, modern science did not really recognize that there was a correlation between food and mood. But today there is a study from Harvard University which says that what you eat actually affects how you feel. Right? That's mind-boggling. What you eat affects how you feel. Nobody had kind of been saying that before. But if anybody ever went to an Ayurvedic doctor, a Vaidya, back in the day, think about it. They give you a medical prescription, right? They say, go and take this Ayurvedic herb, a bitter kashayam maybe, go for an Ayurvedic panchakarma treatment. They tell you all of that. But did you ever notice that that little piece of paper also had another thing written there? And that is the clue, the answer to the next thing, nutritional psychiatry. Can you tell me if anyone, this is a little bit harder, so if you can't get it, I'll tell you what it is. Yes, go for it. Yeah, close enough. Ahara, but in the medical prescription, and this is not in order, so I guess we'll give away one of those, but pathya, right? They always talk about pathya. Always, diet has always been an important part of Ayurvedic prescription, but often in modern medical science, doctors really don't talk about food. Well, I gave away that one, but that is obviously one of the popular trends. How many of you here have tried intermittent fasting? Great, lot of you. So I don't know if you were aware, there's a concept in Ayurveda called Langana, right? We have many spiritual practices in India as well where we practice fasting. There's a study from the New England Journal of Medicine which says intermittent fasting can help you achieve longer life, leaner body, and a sharper mind. And we all want that. But Ayurveda back in the day said Langana can help improve metabolic capacity and it burns down what we call ama or toxins. So Ayurveda said Langana is indicated in high fever, when you have a pathological toxin and you want to burn it down, or for that matter in diabetes. But what is wonderful is that Ayurveda does not stop there. What Ayurveda says is that Langhana is very good and it tells you what it's good for, who it's good for. There are indications, there are contraindications mentioned in Ashtanga Hridayam. So it says who should not actually do Langhana, right? Someone with very high Vata should not do Langhana because the Vata will increase in certain cases. But in modern science, we kind of make this a health fad. We say now intermittent fasting. Everyone's going and doing intermittent fasting, and then some people are not always benefited. And that is the beauty of Ayurveda, which is one size does not fit all. It's a very nuanced science. Sauna bath, this has been in existence forever, but obviously recently it's become really popular. Finland's made it really popular. The Wired magazine said sauna is the next frontier in fighting depression. A lot of chronic musculoskeletal problems, are seeing benefits through use of sauna bathhouses. Does anyone want to take a stab at what that is in Ayurveda? And we will try and give it to somebody else. Yes, go for it.
Swedana.
Yes, wonderful. So Swedana. Swedana is a part of Panchakarma. It's a part of Purva Karma, right? So if you've gone for an Ayurvedic Panchakarma treatment, very often, they do those beautiful oil massages and then they send you into a steam bath or a dry sort of heat, dry heat area, which is like a sauna. So Ayurveda talked about Swedana back in the day. It's been very much a part of Ayurveda therapy. But again, what's beautiful here is Ayurveda does not stop there, right? Swedana is not for everybody, and there are different types of Swedana. There's dry heat. There is kind of heat through steam, and it's differently indicated. For a Kapha person, Swedana, sauna would be wonderful. But for a Vata person, it can be too drying sometimes. It causes cellular dehydration. So maybe a different form of Swedana is better, and Ayurveda kind of talks about it in the text. And this is longevity. We are all here trying to achieve longer life. That's kind of everyone's goal, longer, healthier lifespan. Do you want to tell me what that is in Ayurveda? We'll give it to somebody else. I'm not picking the same people again, if possible. This one's a really easy one. The first chapter in Ashtanga Hridayam talks about longevity. So what could an equivalent concept be? We have had the same three people. Somebody from the embassy. We'll give it to the lady, yes.
Rasayana.
Absolutely. Rasayana, right? So Rasayana has always been about kind of maintaining health. It's not just about having an illness, but how do you kind of, even if you do not have an illness, how can you increase your lifespan? How can you kind of slow down aging? How can you just feel the most vital and best all the time? So that is Rasayana. The idea of all of this really is to just tell you that Ayurveda was always far ahead of its times, and I hope this kind of helps build the faith in the vision of Ayurveda. So before we kind of try the next wellness trend, let's try and achieve well-being by adhering to the principles of Ayurveda. But we're talking about innovation today, and our day-to-day lives have a lot of technology in them. So I guess the question is, can technology enhance Ayurveda, or does it kind of make Ayurveda a little redundant? This is a very cliched off-quoted line, but to survive, we must always adapt to change. So I guess, Ayurveda should adopt technology, and that is the future of wellness. There are some opportunities for innovation in Ayurveda, and I'll briefly kind of touch upon all of these as we go. But the buzzword in every industry today is AI and data, right? Wherever you go, whatever it is that you are doing, everybody wants to say that they are working with some form of AI. But really, where is the opportunity in Ayurveda? In Ayurveda, we are now seeing very interesting modern diagnostic tools which are then getting combined with AI algorithms that can help you assess the state of balance in your body. So it can tell you kind of, what is the doshic imbalance, let's say. It can then maybe suggest some kind of an Ayurvedic intervention. What's beautiful about this is that now there's a bridge between subjective assessment and objective data. This also makes it easy for a lot of Ayurvedic doctors to now treat, consult, monitor, sometimes patients even remotely, because there is hard data that they can use, together with their own assessment. And again, the one size does not fit all concept applies here as well. But let me tell you what makes this kind of opportunity for personalized predictive care even more interesting. Wearable tech. How many of you here have a smartwatch or some sort of, wearable device? An Apple Watch maybe? Just you? Well, world over, yes, world over, the use of wearable devices has increased almost fourfold, right? We went from 300 million or so devices in 2016 to over 1 billion devices being used around the world today. So this is a part of the future of wellness for sure. But let's imagine a world now where you had a smart device which was telling you, what your heart rate is, but then that links it to maybe the doshic imbalance in your body, and then it gives you dietary changes, or it tells you, today you should go and exercise, go for a run today, or maybe do yoga today, depending on what is the state of the body. But it allows this opportunity for personalized Ayurveda-based recommendation. But what makes it even more interesting is the fact that using modern diagnostic tools, AI algorithms, wearable tech, what we can do today is validate the effectiveness of Ayurvedic treatments. What does that mean? So, we had a very nice slide by our speaker here, and he showed, somebody went for a Shirodhara treatment and serum cortisol levels came down. Today, people are using CGMs, continuous glucose monitoring devices, not for diabetes, but to monitor metabolic health. Imagine a world where you went for Shirodhara or you went for Abhyangam, and immediately these devices identify biomarkers which show that there is an improvement in your biomarkers. That immediately kind of validates the effectiveness of Ayurvedic treatments. So there is an opportunity here. Another area which is emerging world over is the use of bioactive compounds, right? Consumers around the world today really are not as interested in labels which say that they are clean or natural. What people want is scientific evidence. They want some sort of clinical effectiveness to be shown. And which is why we're seeing advanced research that is being used to identify bioactive compounds, standardize these in order to prove their efficacy, in order to have some level of consistency. And then we've also seen clinical trials that are being held to prove efficacy of these herbs, right? So Haridra, which in Ayurveda is very popular for so many different things, but now there are clinical trials which show that this bioactive compound curcumin has benefits for metabolic issues, it has benefits for arthritis, so many joint issues, which means we are seeing the use of curcumin, turmeric in many kind of science-based solutions, even in modern medicine. Similarly for ashwagandha, we see that it has been shown in various studies to be able to treat subclinical hypothyroidism. There is a company in India which has done 50 double-blind, placebo-controlled, randomized trials to show the effectiveness of ashwagandha. What all of this really does is it opens the door for there to be scientific rigor and an evidence-based approach which will allow Ayurvedic treatments to coexist with modern medicine and be part of usage in hospitals, in wellness centers, right? And that is really the future that we want. This is a personal favorite, and I'll give you a little story behind this. So when I was a kid, every time before the onset of winter, my grandfather used to source ingredients from around the country and make this herbal jam, as they call it, Chyawanprash. What was great about Chyawanprash is that it's a great immunity building substance product where you take a mixture of different Ayurvedic herbs and put it together, but it's very easy to consume. All I had to do is in the morning before I went to school, I'd have a spoonful of it, and that was a great way to build immunity for the winter, right? What is happening is with modern lifestyles, our lives are becoming very demanding. It's not possible. We know fresh, cooked, healthy food is always great, and that's the first resort. But sometimes busy professionals always on the go, it's not as easy to access. I can testify to it. As Javed sir said before, I'm a former corporate lawyer, so I know what that life looks like, which means that we need to find kind of more innovative ways in which we can deliver the benefits of Ayurveda to people in functional, accessible formats. And that's where you're seeing, for example, foods and beverages, like we see turmeric latte, or an ashwagandha latte, or a moringa-infused an energy bar. Even in personal care products, ghee has great properties for moisturizing in Ayurveda. We use Shaddhod Grit in Ayurveda in India. But now you have companies which are actually being innovative and providing you ghee-based lip balms, for example. So, those are the kind of innovations which can really make Ayurveda and the wisdom of the sages, accessible and relevant in the modern world. And this is another very interesting concept, if anyone's kind of looked into blockchain technology, right? Whenever I talk about Ayurveda to people, one of the questions I often encounter is around, can you really trust the herbs? The quality of the herbs is a really big problem. Fair enough, we have seen a situation where sometimes the ingredients quality in certain places may have been compromised, there's negative publicity, there's reduced consumer trust. How, as a community that believes in Ayurveda, how can we kind of deal with that problem? So one way to deal with it is this emerging technology of blockchain. Blockchain is a digital ledger which allows the recording of transactions. And I'll explain to you what that looks like. There's a little photo here, but it may not be as clear. But let's say you are a grower. You are growing some kind of a herb, right? In this case, we have curcumin, turmeric, right? The root. You grow this and you sell it to the supplement manufacturer, who then kind of sends it for a quality control test. What will happen in blockchain is that at every step, there's a recording of the transaction, and this gets uploaded onto a digital ledger, which is accessible to everybody, and this ledger cannot be changed. You can't kind of go and tamper with it and change information, which means there is lesser scope for human error, for fraud, and this helps us establish traceability. So you can now trace that herb from farm to shelf. And that increases the transparency. Smart contracts which are embedded within blockchain platforms can in these sort of ways also automate quality control, regulatory compliance. So that makes it much, much easier for us to trust the quality of Ayurvedic ingredients. So, just based on all of that, we see that the future of wellness will be scientific, science-based, and there will be a lot of data-backed wellness that we see in the future, right? So we want to see how Ayurveda can also adapt to these changing norms. It doesn't mean that we change the essence of Ayurveda. It just means the way we present Ayurveda, the kind of evidence we show, kind of conforms to these norms. So the new standards in Ayurveda care, they have to be data-driven, they have to be scientifically validated, enhanced, aided by technology, and like I said, yet ethically guided, rooted very much in Ayurveda, but adapted for contemporary living. That's the goal of innovation really, right? Patient convenience, patient empowerment. Importantly, compliance. At the end of the day, if we give somebody a treatment, they take it once and then they go back, and after some time, a couple of years, a couple of months, they don't follow it anymore. It's of really no use. Which is why we have to have formats which adapt to people's lifestyles, that even after they leave that Panchakarma center, they go back home, there are ways that they can continue to use Ayurveda in their life. It's not just about that one retreat once a year, but how can Ayurveda be part of your day-to-day life? And ultimately, patient satisfaction, right? That's very, very important. Effort is only as good as the outcome. We can do everything that we want, but patients must feel better. That is how they will come to Ayurvedic practitioners again. That is paramount. Recently, as Javed sir mentioned, Arth was an initiative I started in Singapore, and Singapore government has taken up an initiative called Healthier SG to kind of, for the health of its citizens. And one of the things that they are doing as part of Healthier SG is they are trying to integrate some kind of traditional Chinese medicine into their preventive medicine care. And the reason they are able to do it, their health minister announced a couple of days back, is because it's the demand of the people, right? 1 in every 5 Singaporeans is going to a traditional Chinese doctor. So they said, we have to then offer this to patients. So patient satisfaction is paramount. For Ayurveda to continue innovating and be relevant. So yes, as the slide says, we want to, of course, remember our roots, but we also want to pioneer new frontiers. We want to preserve Ayurveda, but we actually want Ayurveda to be invigorated by the scientific marvels, by the technological innovations. Thank you so much. Since I am also the last last speaker, I want to say thank you to the Indian Embassy for this absolutely wonderful program. I've worked with a few embassies around the world, but very proactive embassy to do Ayurveda Day on Ayurveda Day itself. Clearly under the leadership of His Excellency Javed Ashraf Sir, who I also want to express my gratitude to. We did the first Ayurveda Day globally as a coordinated effort in 2019 in Singapore under his leadership. So thank you, sir, for being a visionary and for always being a pioneer. Thank you, everyone.